Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. Now welcome back technically to another episode of Climb to Master. So this game is still in placements, was played a few days ago. And I have thought to myself, if there are just good games that I'm playing while I'm not streaming or recording, I am going to do a replay analysis of it, and that is one of these. I will also just warn you, you are going to be getting a bit of... We'll go have a look at what happened there in a second. But you are going to be getting some Vladimir content, quite a lot of it in the upcoming days. So the enemy team going for an invade, Fiddle being a little bit slow to react, even does a pretty poor flash. Now I will say that hitbox did look a little bit dodgy, but still, don't flash in a straight line if you're trying to dodge Thresh to play it completely safe. So the whole point of why I'm doing this is, one, just to show you guys Vlad more, and obviously I can focus more on education when I'm not actually playing the game, so I can actually just talk about Vlad as a champion more. But more importantly, a big lesson that I know people may be bored of me saying for the last couple of years, another reason why you don't really want to be a one-trick. So the person we're against in top lane is a Fizz, and it's a one-trick. Only plays Fizz, and my just basic lesson of today that I want to keep you guys in the back of your mind is, if you're somebody that only mains one thing, be very careful about, like, well, potentially maybe even dodge if the game doesn't suit you. Now, a lot of people may think, but Fizz is fine top lane. Depends also how you're going to play the champion. Bruiser Fizz has been a pick. It might actually not be absolutely terrible right now, but you'll notice in this game, this guy just goes full AP Fizz. Like, full AP Fizz like he would be in mid lane. And what that does, and again, why I think it's pretty bad, is it opens a gap in your team. Now, a lot of people say, what's the difference of going Vlad to Fizz? You're both AP mid laners playing in top, technically. Not really. So Vladimir is an AP bruiser. That's why he can kind of be played top without, you know, risking too much, because he offers actually a little bit of tankiness and distraction in team fights. Fizz doesn't really offer that in comparison. But yeah, so if you are somebody that's going to main one thing, my advice is main one thing, but always have some picks just in the back burner, just in case you want other roles. Because again, autofill is a thing. You have to pick 2 positions to queue up in ranked. You know, I know there are some people that want to dumb down rank more and only pick one role. I hope they never do that. But that's the point, is that you at least have to queue up to 2 roles every single game. So act accordingly. You know, yeah, play Fizz anytime you're in mid lane and it's possible, but have something else in top or jungle or AD, for example. So that's just the basic lesson. So this game, the idea behind it is, I'm Vladimir. I've been playing a bit of Vladimir at the moment. It's been going okay, but meanwhile bot lane is dead for the second time. I know to a certain extent that I can beat this Fizz if I play it correctly. We both go for a bit of an all-in. My bot lane does die. Fizz is going to survive with also leveling up. But there we go. We get both of his summoners for my Ignite. That's a worth trade in my book. I also know that Shaco's bot lane, so I can remain in top lane. But yeah, this lane for me, it's not even winning the lane that's important. Like, out farming, that's what I want to do, obviously. But it's more about just getting to mid-late game. So if you notice the enemy team comp, they are what I would call solo queue champion picks. So, you know, Fizz top lane, you're never going to see that in competitive, not AP Fizz top. Shaco, you don't see him in competitive. Zoe, obviously you do, but is also a good solo queue pick. And Lucian Thresh, again, good in both competitive and solo, but they are there to win lane. You know, but if you look at our team comp, we have late game capabilities. So one, Vladimir. The enemy team is going to have a very hard time dealing with a Vladimir, and I knew this while loading into the game. And again, that's what champion and decision making and everything gives you knowledge-wise, is I know that no one on the enemy team is going to be able to deal with a Vladimir, just how the enemy team picks are. Vladimir is too late game for most, and even champions like Zoe that has a great late game, what is she going to do to a Vladimir? I can dodge her sleep, I have regen, I have burst all in, which counters her, so when you kind of start thinking about it, what can they do? I can avoid Fizz's damage with my W, when Shaco jumps on me, I can press W. There's a pattern emerging, so when I know my team is doing not great, mid lane's already dead, bot lane's died a bunch, it's more about just making sure that I'm a pillar on my team, that at least I'm not sucking. And that's a very important thing that I think you guys should know, is sometimes that's what you got to do. Is my team is feeding, okay, I'm just going to try my best not to feed, full stop. Not feed, get to mid-late game and see what we can do there. Because if I feed, game's over. So you can see the farm-wise, we're doing alright. I am going to be potentially pushing in, because again, the Fizz's health is kind of low. He is staying around, which is very questionable. And again, I get hit by 2 towers there. That was unfortunate. But it's the whole dilemma of when do you go back. Now, the reason why this Fizz is not wanting to go back, again, no teleport, he's going to ignite. So if he goes back, he's going to miss at least a wave of farm and XP. So he's trying to cling on to, I can't go back because then I'm going to get further and further behind. But the problem with that is, in theory, it's fine. But if you die in this position that this Fizz is in, it's even worse than just going back. Because going back, yes, you're going to miss a wave of XP or whatever. But if you die and go back, you know, you're going back anyway. And you're also giving a kill gold and everything like that. So it's about fine-tuning it. And again, sorry for the occasional lag. The replay files at the moment are just a bit odd. So I'm now level 6. And what I'm looking for is either just to dish out enough damage that it doesn't matter about Fizz's E. But really, it's baiting his E out. Baiting the E out and then going for an all-in. Take a couple tower hits, but then get hit by the W. Or he just has to go back. So in all that grand, I'm staying for as long as possible. Was it worth it? Probably not. He probably should have just gone back. So you'll notice this game at the moment is going absolutely terrible. Which, again, is really demoralizing when you're in placement games. And it's like, oh my god. And again, I'll say placement games, in all the changes that Riot's been doing for the past couple of weeks, that, you know, no one really was asking for a lot of these changes. I'm seeing negative things about role ranked every single day, funny enough. Luckily, role ranked isn't on EU West at the moment. He does go for an engage as Fizz. Again, relatively easy to bait out. I go for a big just ignite everything play, just kill him. Use both summoners. The reason why I went so aggressive for that, by the way, is he just got back to lane and now he's instantly dead. That's a massive demoralization thing. That if you can kill somebody as soon as they get back to lane, it's like, ha, dead. Got you. But yeah, I'm seeing negative things about a lot of things that the Riot have been doing. Again, you know, hey, why'd you make so many changes when you had 3 months of preseason? Why didn't you test role ranked in preseason? There's a lot going on with that. One of the good things that Riot did, and I'll say, again, I don't want to be negative about all the changes, but the placements. Again, the placements do seem a little bit harsh. If you continue watching Iron to Diamond, you will notice that in terms of people are getting lower rated a little bit. But the fact that you get to know what rating you are after every single game is nice. I like that quite a bit. And I think people who are new to ranked would especially like it. Now, you'll notice that my bot lane is now 0-3 Kai'Sa, 0-4 Fiddlesticks. Feeding is, you know, the definite word that we can use now. And, you know, in a normal situation, when you're in top lane, you can't affect the bot lane. I'm running teleport now. I'm running Ignite nowadays, not teleport, so I can't even teleport down to go help. A lot of people kind of think, oh, this game is kind of over. Where, again, you got to hold on to the right thing. You got to, kind of feel, can I, on the champion that I'm playing, make an impact even if the enemy team is fed? This is another reason, and again, I've always said to people, play the champion you want, but again, this channel is called HuzzyGames, and I've got opinions about every single champion in the game. This is why I don't play early game champions, because I think I can do well enough on late game champions in the early game that I don't feed, but I also can make a massive impact later. So Vladimir is a late game champion, not actually mid to late game. But the most early game champion that I play is Renekton, and I've only started to pick him up recently again with taking Conqueror, or, you know, in the Smurf series, then when I'm confident I'm going to snowball. But yeah, like, that's why I don't play early game champions. That's why I don't really rate things like Pantheon and stuff like that, because in this game, if I was playing Pantheon, I knew, in my mind, I'm like, well, I can't do anything to a Lucian. If I don't get fed in lane phase, I can't do anything to him. And again, especially when you get to higher ratings, people know how to play against Pantheons relatively easily. People get caught out occasionally by his ultimate, but in lane phase, it's very... You don't see people feed a Pantheon in lane. But that's what he's designed to do. He's designed to get fed in lane. Right, so far, things have been relatively passive. Fizz goes for an ultimate, which then has to question the enemy team is nearby. I go for an all-in on the Fizz just to hope to get something, but there's 3 top lane. No ping or anything from the Zed, unfortunately. Or maybe he did 1, but it was literally, yeah, so you can see here, he did it at 9:20. That's exactly when the engage was happening. So it was like, the ping wasn't well timed, unfortunately. Kha'Zix's potentially looking for the zone when she's returning to lane. But yeah, I think the Shaco might have got that kill. And now Fizz is going to manage to get himself maybe a tower plate or whatever. Again, that's another good change, I'll say, is tower plates. I actually quite like them. It's a bit gimmicky, I will say, but yeah, overall I kind of like him. Zed now roaming up, and he is going to pick up the kill by himself. Kha'Zix did get some XP though for being in range, and that's fine. Fizz overstaying, gets you know, killed again. So right now the enemy team is winning in gold by about 2,500, which again, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a lot if you can push the game to later. And obviously the biggest gold lead right now is the bot lane. You know, most of that, well, actually more. The enemy bot lane is more ahead than 2,500 gold. It's just I'm ahead of top lane, and my mid lane's ahead of his lane. But my jungler's down 1,000 gold. My bot laner is down. That's an amazing kill. You just saw the gold jump a crazy amount. Now my bot lane is only behind a little bit. Wow, that's turned that quite a bit. So well played to those guys. Again, that's about never giving up. The weakness of Fiddlesticks as a support, especially against something like Thresh, get hooked, you're dead. It's the same thing with Nami, Sona, anything like that. You get hooked, you're dead. But the moment that you hit level 6, or you get a little bit of strength under your belt, you're a lot harder to deal with. Or, the simple thing, you don't get hooked anymore. For some reason, there are different players kind of play better in different ways. Let me know what kind of player you guys are. If you think like, oh, I'm an early game player, I'm good in the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There are players that are like this all over. Personally, I think I'm best when the game hits about 20 minutes. That's when I think I can come into my own, because that's a lot of decision making at that point. When to do Baron, when to group, when to split. That's what I'm confident with. I know my weakest part of my game is my lane phase, 100%. So, we're looking at the build, just to kind of point out, incredibly aggressive build coming out by me. This is the build that I'm basically doing every single game now. Fiddlesticks has disconnected. I can't remember if he comes back straight away. Redemption coming in. I go for an all-in on the Fizz because I'm like, da, sucker. So even though, again, we get 3-man in top lane, the Redemption even tries to save the Fizz, we kill him in a solo. So again, it's about focusing on your solo and what you can do as an individual. Because if and this is where, you know, my mind, I've had to try and retrain it, was being relatively negative in the last, I don't know, year. Being negative, if I was negative in this game, when I saw my bot lane feeding as much, I wouldn't have kept trying as hard as I have. I would have maybe not focused on killing the Fizz, maybe just kind of not really farmed as well. Where now, we're nearly double farm, the Fizz is now 0-3, and we're now getting solo kills at him. Because my concentration levels are still there. Bot lane, an unfortunate play happens. They are, 2 of them dead, because Shaco does a counter gank. I am going to go back, and I believe I'm going to finish my Spellbinder. So as I was saying before, this is the build that I'm doing every single game. I think it's just a really good build. It's the only champion, practically, that I build Spellbinder on. Because it just goes really well on Vladimir. You're spamming ability power champion that when you're spamming it to get the Spellbinder stacks, it doesn't cost you anything. It's no mana being wasted, so that's nice. And it's really easy to be like, right, I'm pressing Spellbinder, now I'm pressing Alt on the enemy team. You get that massive boost of damage. And if you can see me occasionally pressing E, that's to stack the Spellbinder. So if you don't know what this item does, basically it gives you a hell of a lot of AP, 120 with movement speed, and every single time a spell is used, a friendly spell is used around you, you gain 1 stack. At any time when it's off cooldown, you can press Spellbinder, and how many stacks it has will give you a certain amount of AP. It doesn't work to be one-on-one. By the way, Fizz has moved over to be with the enemy. Does look like it's going okay. Fiddle gets his ultimate off. Fizz is going back in. He is going to go down, but this is leaving Kai'Sa, by the way. Of all champions, they left Kai'Sa completely alone. And they are going to maybe chase to go get the enemy team. So again, the Fizz can't face me, so what is he doing? Roaming. But again, he's relatively weak, compared to me. So now the Lucian who's really fed, I'm like, screw it, I'm killing your bum. So I'm just going to go for him because, again, mentally, if you can do that, what I just did, the most fed guy on the enemy team, he's been doing really well this whole game. I'm, for some reason, tanking tower. No idea why I'm doing that. But if you can just suddenly go, right, we won a team fight. Hey, Lucian, you weren't really involved in that by the looks of it. I'm just going to kill you now too. What does that do to the Lucian? Oh, I can't deal with the Vladimir now. It adds up. Again, you have to remember, the League of Legends is a mechanical game, but it's also a lot of mental. That's why, like, Riot has data that I've literally had... Why did I do that? Right, I've literally had data shown to me by Riot of people that are toxic and who rage and get more reported on average are lower rated than what you'd call their equivalent. You know, that they have, trust me, Riot have crazy amount of data. People who get like first blood percentages and farm advantage percentages, they compare those to each other on the same champions, and on average the people that are weaker mentally by raging have a less win rate, even though statistically they're very similar to other players. It's crazy how much mental changes this in game, because it's not just you that your mental affect. If you're raging, it makes your teammates want to win less as well. It's all adding up to basically try to win as much as you can. So rage less. So build-wise now, because the enemy team's comp, again, like I mentioned, how are they going to deal with the Vladimir? Is I've got my W, but what happens if I get dogpiled? Well, the second item that can help towards that is Zhonya. So I press W, it's like, oh god, the whole enemy team is on top of me, my teammates are nearby, then I can press Zhonya. So really I get like a 5-second or something immunity in total. Little fight happening, Zed going for an all-in, Lucian does flash away. I'm walking in to see what I can do. Zed didn't manage to get a kill, but we're going to try and do some type of distraction for the Zed just so he doesn't die. Zoe gets killed by the Kai'Sa. Shaco gets the kill. It's that Shaco which is the real one. Zed actually comes the whole way around and gets the kill, which is really nice. And that's going to be that. I don't even think I get an assist, but my presence of even just stopping the enemy team to the left is, you know, more than worth it. So now we're starting to get momentum. You'll actually notice at the top the gold has swung in our team's way. And again, all of this is from not really giving up. It's focusing, for me, focusing on what I can do. And obviously my gold lead in top lane right now is over 2,000 gold by myself. So that's huge. So basically the lead that we have is more or less the lead that I've got in top lane. But, you know, it's not giving up. And also my bot lane not giving up. They got absolutely bombarded and crushed in the early game. But again, it's a Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa does outscale Lucian. So again, don't give up about that aspect. And, you know, if they can suddenly not get hooked, or Shaco does a couple mistakes here and there, then again, you can pull it back. Again, controversial opinion if you're a Shaco player, I don't rate Shaco that highly. I never really have. I've never been scared of a Shaco on the enemy team, because I know if you play basic and just smart, you'll beat a Shaco. And that's why he's an effective solo queue champion, because most people don't think while they play in League. And I will point out one thing that to me was absolutely mind-baffling to this guy being a Fizz basic one-trick. His build is terrible. So Fizz has been, you can do training and stuff in training mode and actually look at the data that Fizz does more damage building 2 component items than a finished Lichbane. And for a one-trick Fizz not to know that, to me, is absolutely... And the 2 components, again, is Sheen and Revolver. Those 2 item component-wise, just getting those 2, it does more damage than Lichbane, and it's, I think, cheaper. So there's no excuse not to do that. It's just crazy to me that he didn't. Because he has very little strength right now, this Fizz. Lichbane is only crazy effective, I'd say, the more ability power you have in late game. So that's why you probably want to finish... You don't even buy Lichbane first, by the way. You complete Revolver first, Hextech Protobelt, then you do Lichbane. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be in top lane just doing a bit of pressuring. Kha'Zix did die. I don't really know what happened. I'm guessing he just got caught a little bit. Again, it's not a clean game. This game is pretty messy by both teams, definitely. But right now it's the dilemma of what do I do? Do I stay top lane? Do I push? Because I know I can 1v1 this Fizz. And I might be able to 2v1 a Fizz and Shaco, if I'm honest. Or do I just continue going, or do I group? So what I decide is the moment I see a bunch of people mid lane, I'm just going to use the Rift Herald and just pressure. Because if they decide that they're like, oh, we have to go stop Vlad, then at least that gives the pressure off my team, which is what I want. So I go for an all-in on the Fizz. Don't think I'm going to get him. He goes down to 35 health. We saw 35 health down there. But then my team engaged down here. Zed going for a play actually gets it completely exploded randomly. But they get 1 for 1 in that situation. We make Fizz go away, and that's also going to give us another charge on the Rift Herald. And right now I'm like, oh my god, can I crack the base? No, I can't. So now my team should be pushing the mid lane, if we're honest. Shaco didn't use ultimate in that whole engage. I do dodge the hook, but now it's going to be a little bit too many. Not entirely sure if I should have done that, but it was more about just delaying the enemy team so my team could get this mid tower. But I do give the Fizz 650 gold, which is probably a little bit of a mistake. But it's okay. Again, we nearly cracked the base, but obviously this is going to regen because the base towers regen. But so far, again, not terrible. We're doing quite a lot. Again, this is where you have to imagine when someone says, oh, I did a lot that game, someone would expect, oh, you got like, 20 kills. We've only got 3 kills. We've died twice, got no assists, yet we're doing a lot this game. That's one of the new player mentalities that you've got to try and phase yourself out of very quickly, I'd say, is KDA, in the grand scheme of things, is only a slight indicator of what you've done in a game. You could be negative KD and win your team the game. It's that simple. It's just nice to have a good KD, obviously. Because, as an example, if you're playing CSGO, you do terrible the whole game, and then that one last round, you kill the guy and you win your team the game, you did something good. Alright, potentially Zed get engaged on. I put my Spellbinder, which, by the way, does give some movement speed, because I was just interested if, I could have maybe gone for an all-in, but I decided against it. Which, again, the Spellbinder is on a 60-second cooldown, and obviously every single time you use it, you've got to start stacking it. So you'll see every single time when someone uses a spell around me, you'll see the Spellbinder stackage go up. It goes up pretty quick. Fiddle coming for an engage. I'm coming in as Vladimir, pop my ultimate, jump in the middle. Kai'Sa picks up the kill. Which is a nice little kill, get myself more health from my ultimate. Enemy team might be mispositioning here. I get hooked. Lucian comes out the shadows. Zonya's right at the good time. Shaco coming in. I do die. Unfortunately, I couldn't get myself back up or a W in time. But again, it's just trades at the moment. And these trades aren't terrible. Why? Because we're technically not 5-manning. They got vision of the Shaco there. Really nice use of the red trinket, I think that was. Because they spotted the Shaco just before he got there. 1 kill. 2 kill, and there we go. My team gets a bunch of kills. And you have to remember, we just aced the enemy team without Zed. Zed wasn't involved. My team is now going to the Baron. I'm probably going to make my way over after, or maybe they'll do it in time. I'm not really sure. But again, it's just about hanging on. So if you got anything from this commentary, is one of two things. One, don't give up. And again, there's going to be future episodes of Iron to Diamond and Climb to Master, I'm sure, that also show this message. But it's about not giving up completely if you know, especially if you know you've got a better team comp. Again, I was playing Vladimir. Vladimir is a crazy good champion the later the game goes on. And their comp is dodgy as hell. They've got a Fizz top lane. They've got a Shaco that I'm never going to be scared of. So it's stuff like that that's kind of made me like, I don't really care about their team comp that much. My team do overstay a little bit. We still have Baron on 1 or 2 people. Fiddle is just running away from this Fizz like a crazy man. And Flesh also comes in. I'm going to go for the Fizz just to kind of kill him. He goes for the Lantern. He does get it, but I stop him and kill him in time. And there we go. So again, a bunch of kills. We get the Baron buff on 2 people now, me and Zed. And all we got to do really, I think, is group. And then with our comp, we'll probably just win. Again, depending if I get my Vladimir ult at the right time, my Vladimir ult could buff Fiddle ult, which would be a very nice thing. So, yeah, so far, pretty good game. It's just a nice one. That's why I wanted to do this commentary, because it was just a nice game. It was, oh god, we're getting really far behind in the early game. Focus, win your lane. Again, you're against a one-trick Fizz who's building completely wrong. Just do your own thing. And again, the combination in my head, I've said it a couple times, but the moment that I was like, right, I'm against an AP Fizz top who's building wrong and a Shaco jungle, we can win this game pretty easily. Again, no offense if you play those champions. I play Fizz. I just would not play him AP Fizz top. But no offense if you play Shaco in particular. I just don't personally rate the champion. But he falls into the category of champions, like I said earlier, that if you think about what you're doing, you beat. Singed, Skarner, Quinn, Pantheon, Shaco, they all fall into that category for me, because if you legit just think about what you're doing when you're playing, it's really hard to lose to them. So, yeah. Enemy team going for an all-in. Zed does get the kill, which is a trade, which again, questionable. Going for an engage right now. Get hooked on. Kha'Zix is now having fun with a Lucian. My bot lane have not rotated, unfortunately, which is a little bit questionable. Gonna go for the Thresh. Really low health right now. Gonna just dodge. Gonna Zonya's. Gonna be pretty close. Gonna go for the Thresh. Do manage to get in with a flash play. Fiddle ult is a little bit too late. I get killed by the Zoe that we didn't have vision of. And both of these guys, again, didn't make an impact. I don't know why they didn't walk over. Enemy team is now mucking up. Fizz, once again, having a mare of a game. Kai'Sa the enemy team are going to be hard-pressed to control this Kai'Sa. Again, she outscales the Lucian. We've got a Fiddle that's right next to throwing Fizz out and stuff like that. Zoe, questionable play. Like, again, you must have known that the Fiddle fear was up. Or going to be very soon. Snipe. There you go. So again, they eventually do stuff. She walked in the drowsy. But they eventually do stuff, but it would have been nice if they rotated a lot quicker. But whatever. Shaco picks himself up a nice little kill on the Fiddle. But again, it's not really the target that he needed to stop, in theory. She's going to be careful for Shaco because, again, predictability. He's going to come back for it. But she is just going to decide to back off. Zed going top lane. Dragon is up, but it's not really one that we care too much about. But my build. So, again, full AP build on Vladimir. Very aggressive. I will say I am doing this build in general, but maybe I wouldn't have bought Deathcap third item. The reason why we're doing it this game is, if you notice our team comp, I am the AP carry of our team. We've got a Zed mid. So I need to make sure that I'm dishing out as much damage as possible, even if that makes my survivability a little bit less. If I really... really wanted to make me a little bit too hard to deal with this game, gonna go for back off. Then maybe something with health, Leandries or something. Even though they don't have a tank, it would still be a useful item. Or even a Riley against the enemy team comp. Riley with slows is very effective against Shaco, Fizz, even Lucian being a relatively low range AD carry. So yeah. Blue buff being done by the Lucian. Kha'Zix fails his jump. Shaco jumps on top of him. I'm going to just try and tank that up a little bit. Going to go on the Shaco. That's the real one down there. I'm just trying to back off the enemy team right now. Like, just make them scared of me. Kha'Zix does make a mistake and does die. Fizz ultimate hits the Zed. He is going to go for a kill. He does die. Bunch of mistakes happening. Kai'Sa coming nearby. Thresh is going for a little bit of a chase. And that's going to be that. Fiddle's going for an ult. Does get cancelled, unfortunately. So this all round looks to be a pretty bad situation. I get one kill. Kai'Sa's going to die. And all that happened, if we're honest, is because we were going for that blue, which was fine. Kha'Zix jumped in and failed his jump and then got caught by the Shaco. Questionable using the jump like that. I get Zoe dazzled, unfortunately. Again, I hate that champion. I think most of the community is with me there. But we aced, and that might be thinking, oh damn, we've had a really clean game. You're talking about bringing it back again. This is where, surprisingly, when you've got a better team comp than the enemy team, stuff like getting ace like that, it's annoying because it's like, god damn it. But it never should make you kind of go, oh, GG. Because again, you've got a better comp. If you're wondering how do you know you've got a better comp, again, just do the breakdown of which champions are stronger late game. Zed gets hit. He could have shadowed that, if we're honest. Again, they're making a bunch of mistakes. He gets a trade. Is that worth it? Probably not. But again, just do the trades. AP, Fizz top lane. That opens up a massive gap on the enemy team of no bruiser, no tank, no... Honestly, no AoE. If you think of most of the AP bruisers that go top lane, a lot of them have crazy AoE. Fizz has, I guess, his ult, but only if it hits multiple people, which it normally doesn't. But there's a gap there. Shaco... It's Shaco. Zoe, she gets countered by Burst, and again, our comp has Burst, so that's a counter. And Lucian gets outscaled by a Kai'Sa. So again, when you add up all these things, that's all you got to do to know which comp's better. Shaco goes for an assassination attempt again. Again, I don't want to... It's nothing bad about this player individually. It's just the champion. He knows he probably has to go for plays like that, because what the hell is he going to do in a team fight? His only chance to really do something is that. I nearly one-shot the Fizz. Unfortunately, wasn't close enough. Gonna go for more of a play. Do W the Thresh hook. Unfortunately, that stopped our Baron. I think we could have continued doing it. You can see my healing is absolutely insane now. Fiddle gets hooked. We are going to continue going for the Lucian. I waited until my exhaust was actually finished there. I W, which wasn't a bad thing, but it actually killed the Kha'Zix because I didn't tank it. But again, stops the Baron yet again. The enemy team is very scared of us getting Baron. Why? Again, these guys are diamond players too. They know our comp's better. If we get Baron, that's a rolling, snowballing buff. And the game will practically come to an end if we get the Baron. Zed going for an all-in on the Zoe. I go for a flash play. Thought she was actually going to die to that, but she didn't. But she is going to die eventually. And that, again, may lead to a Baron soon. But the enemy Shaco is up and probably looking for a pick. Because, again, that's all he practically can do right now. So, to counter that, really just don't be alone. or a bigger counter, there's the pick. The bigger counter is just stand next to Fiddle. Fiddle is actually a really big counter. So I actually make another mistake myself. He's got a lot of damage. I'm never going to deny Shaco does a lot of damage. It's just, if you're thinking, he won't. I just blindly went in there thinking, I can tank it, herder, here we go. And I died. So that was my bad. Fizz going for an all-in. Gets feared. Kai'Sa getting engaged on. Going to do her best to try and tank this up. Good Zhonya's use. Kha'Zix backs away there, which was really questionable to me, because I think he could have murdered the Shaco before. Kha'Zix nearly getting the Lucian. Oh, really nice play by the Kha'Zix. A good sign of Kha'Zix flash by Thresh. Really good sign of Kha'Zix is that jump technique. If you can dish out the instant jump with also getting damage in the middle of them, you're mechanically quite good at Kha'Zix if you can do that consistently. So that's pretty good. So again, really messy game. This game is just turning into an utter fiesta, which is kind of what happens when the team comps want to do similar things, but there's just general mistakes that are happening at the same time. Mountain Dragon's coming up, which is pretty big, because there's been so much stuff around Baron recently that, you know, we've been close to killing the Baron. If we could do it a bit quicker, then we probably would get it. Mountain Dragon helps us kill it quicker. So honestly, that's a really good backup. As for just continuing with my build, by the way, so again, continuing the full AP-ness. And I think I'm going for a Void Staff next, because again, the enemy team has built some MR. Banshees, QSS, and so it's a bit annoying. You saw that I nearly one-shot the Fizz over here, that last team fight, so if I can end up one-shotting people, that's what you kind of want. Thresh doing a little bit of a roamy roam, which, you know, he has to be careful about. Zed, very overextended. You can see the Shaco cloud nearby. Thresh, once again, you know, really big mistake happening here. Fizz ultimate hits doesn't really do anything other than just half health damage. Can't really do much more about that. But the Thresh makes big mistake. He was just dewarding this area. I was like, okay, but then he saw us in the area and then decides to go in again. Like, what? Weird decision making. So again, all we got to do, we're clumped up. Shaco is here. We should have seen his cloud, and there he is. He does go for a kill. As I mentioned, though, the biggest counter to him on our team comp, meanwhile, going for a bit of damage, is Fiddle. Shaco jumps. I go for a Zhonya's, which I think was a mistake. But Shaco jumps in, and the moment that he jumps in, if Fiddle just presses fear, Shaco's dead. You know, even if he's got GA, he's going to die, and then he'll come back up and probably die again. So yeah, grouping, who would have thought it? Really strong for us. So again, I'm pretty low health, but the power of Vladimir. Wait for the buffed up Q. Zed waits in a bush, by the way, so there you go. Half health with 1 Q. Zed waits in this bush and picks off the Fizz, and this is finally going to be the Baron that we've been waiting for quite a while. So again, to me, this has been a great game. It's been a great display of, you know, just working relatively well together. Still some mistakes scattered in. You know, I, by the way, have opened this inhibitor eventually, I think I did. Or maybe someone else did it for me. But we did, obviously, we pressured it a lot in the early game. And it eventually went down. I don't remember how it did. But now we're timing it that we've got 2 inhibs dying at the same time. Thresh once again gets engaged on. Shaco goes in for the Kha'Zix. That's the right one. But I don't think we're going to get that kill. And we get 2 inhibitors. So there we go. That was the Shaco clone. I'm going to go for a bit of damage on the Zoe, but that's probably going to be the end of that. We are going to probably just back away. I was thinking about going for like an all-in there, but meh. Again, if you can save the Guardian's Angel, always try to save the Guardian's Angel. Why? Because the whole item, yes, it gives AD nowadays, so it's a little bit more cost-effective, but it's a pretty expensive item, and for a, you know, a little bit of a long cooldown, that's what you're buying the item for. You're not buying the item really for the stats, you're buying it for the revive, so don't waste the revive. So yeah. We actually now have 2 Guardian's Angels on our teams, by the way, and the enemy team has none. So arguably, including bonus lives, this game is kind of like a 7v4 because of the bonus lives on our team. So, you know, you have to kill them once and then you have to kill them again. Pretty effective. And that's why, obviously, Zilean is quite annoying as a champion, is because it's the same kind of thing. So now the only place to go is bot lane. So we've got 2 inhibs, the classic thing. Them lanes are going to push for you, so go to another lane, and eventually the enemy team are going to have to stop those minions that are in the other lane. So, you know, it's just inevitable. The two things are inevitable. Either they're going to stop you, or I go for an all-in, but I unfortunately get spotted at really bad timing. But I'm still going to go for an all-in because, you know, killing anybody at this stage of the game is really important. Oh, I get in with my E. Shaco was coming back to execute me there, if you saw his shadow. But I hit him with my E and he got killed. Fizz also dies to the Kha'Zix, by the way. And this is probably going to be the game. So again, really effective. I go for a little bit of an all-in. Don't really know why. Thought it would be fun. Zoe's doing a bunch of damage from the side. I'm just going to try and do as much damage as I can with my Zhonya. Thresh is probably going to go down. I do a bunch of dodge damage on the Zoe, and he does also die to the Kai'Sa. So, well played, I will say, to the bot lane. Remember that this bot lane was, what, 0-3 and 0-4 at one stage of this game. But it's about the enemy. It's about what your team comp can do and where the strength of the team comp lies. The Shaco got fed this game. Again, good Shaco player. But when it comes to team comp, we just had to group, and he couldn't really do much. All those kills that he got practically were getting just solo picks. So again, it's just about thinking. And the Vladimir performance gold wise, 15 over over 2,000 gold ahead of my lane. So that's a good win there. The Shaco, you can see over 2,000 gold to the Kha'Zix. Mid lane, he turned his lane around too because it was pretty rough. And again, why? When you know what beats a champion. So Zoe's annoying in lane phase because it's the range, it's the poke, or whatever. But she dies to burst. Zoe's counter is burst. Zed, burst. Late game. Counter. Kai'Sa outscales Lucian. That lane got completely turned around. Look at the gold difference down there. So it's about playing your cards right and about not giving up in the early game. Especially if you know your comp is better than theirs in the late game. Because again, early game doesn't win your games. Late game does, because that's when you can blow up the Nexus. But that's going to be it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Again, there is going to be, I think, at least one more Vladimir game. But that is a live commentary, so you guys should enjoy that one. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment down below. How is your season going? Let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.